Hello, my name's Helen, I'm from Cheshire East Libraries, and today I'd like to tell you a little bit about a book I love. This is The End of the World Running Club by Adrian J Walker, published by Del Rey. The End of the World Running Club is the story of a fairly reluctant husband and father who lives with his young family in Scotland and, one morning, finds himself in the midst of what turns out to be an apocalyptic meteor strike. Don't worry, I'm not spoiling the plot here, because this book gets going pretty much from page 1 and it takes you on an exhausting journey on foot from Edinburgh to Falmouth. We learn quite quickly that Edgar, the protagonist, isn't going to be an obvious hero. He's actually quite difficult to like, but he's easy to get to know with all of his relatable character flaws. I'm keen not to give too much away, but I think it's important to say that this novel does two things really well, I think. Firstly, the author writes imagery and surroundings so sharply that you can somehow picture every part of what should actually be an unimaginable wasteland. Wherever you go in the story, you see familiar objects and completely normal scenes, but they're always set against a very uncomfortable backdrop. Maybe even only a small thing, but always something that illustrates the destruction of the landscape. The most horrific scenes are used sparsely and with care, which I think makes them all the more alarming. There were several moments reading the book when I realised I was holding my breath in anticipation for quite a long time, and I just couldn't stop myself from turning the pages. Secondly, Adrian Walker really gets into the psychology of the main group of characters. I really enjoyed Edgar's thought processes, the way he examines his life as he endures this mental and physical torture and exhaustion. And as we all know, the very best moments of self-examination and self-reflection come when we're pushed to the limits of delirious rambling. The group dynamic manages to be both satisfyingly predictable, which I think you need a bit of that, and suddenly unnerving as we encounter something of each person's individual struggle. This is the kind of book where you're keen to find out who will be the plucky, selfless heroes and who will be untrustworthy. There are enough twists and turns to keep you guessing on that. The End of the World Running Club was lent to me by my sister months ago, and I hadn't really looked at it, to be honest. Lockdown came along, and having exhausted all of my nature writing and my gentle fiction, I found myself scouring the shelves looking for something light, undemanding and not in any way disturbing. I spotted the word running in the title, and I took this book out wondering whether this would be the thing that helped me to improve my love and experience of my own running. It's fair to say that my last few months' training have been based mostly on me having to shout at myself like a bullying sports coach to encourage myself out of the door and just into my running shoes. So I was thinking, it's funny how you might persuade yourself that a difficult time demands stress-free literature, because I'd completely misunderstood the content of this novel, to be perfectly honest, and I never would usually have chosen it. It turned out to be fast-paced, exciting, disturbing in parts, although nothing awful and gratuitous, and probably one of the most stressful but brilliant books I've read in ages. You don't need to be interested in running either to enjoy this story. I would say it's 20% running and 80% post-apocalyptic thriller. But it became my perfect distraction from reality. So what did I learn from my encounter with Adrian Walker's writing? That running for running's sake is far preferable to running to save yourself from certain death. And also, sometimes the kind of book you're trying to avoid is precisely the kind of book you need to read. Even though these were only fictional characters, the dystopian world reminded me that there are always people who are worse off than ourselves. If I had to admit a tiny criticism of this novel, it would be that the character of Ed's wife Beth is never fully developed. Having done a little bit of research, however, I can completely forgive the author for this, since he's now written a sequel, The End of the World Survivors Club, told from Beth's point of view, and I can't wait to read it. Thanks for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the review. Look out for more books we love coming soon from Cheshire East Libraries online. Bye for now.